special. Can he dip it? Drops it in!
Every goal he scores is an absolute beauty.
It's a great romance. You know, the game of football is a great romance to David Beckham.
There aren't that many people in the world who are instantly recognisable, and he's one of them.
He's everywhere. You can't escape David Beckham. Front page, back page, television, radio, everybody has an opinion, everybody wants to talk about him.
Beckham! Take a bow, David Beckham.
David Beckham is a millionaire football phenomenon, fashion icon and global celebrity. His life reads like a Hollywood movie script where he's been both hero and villain. His incredible story has had many twists and turns, which include soccer bust-ups and a jet-set lifestyle as one half of one of the world's most famous celebrity couples. We'll see how Beckham went from child football talent to a multi-million-dollar move to Hollywood to change the face of soccer in America.
I'm very honoured that they've given me the chance to play and to hopefully take soccer in America, you know, to a different level.
This journey charts the highs and the lows of Beckham's life as he's risen to become the most famous sportsman on the planet. From a very early age, Beckham had a fascination and a unique talent for the game.
You know, it was my dad who used to take me over the park all the time and teach me different things and taught me everything, really. You know, even when I was younger, I could kick it further than quite a lot of lads.
He first showed his flair for football while playing for his local side, Ridgeway Rovers.
He could knock the ball in from a corner right into the middle of the goal without any effort at all, just sheer timing. He had the ability to strike the ball perfectly.
David was impressing all those that watched him, and he dreamed of playing for his beloved Manchester United.
I don't know where he got it from, but he was a Man U supporter. I think it was from his dad, and I don't know how. His dad's from Leytonstone.
David's immense talent was being noticed by various professional clubs. Then at the tender age of 11, David was spotted at a Junior Cup final by a Manchester United scout.
My mum turned around to me and said he wants you to go up to Manchester. The excitement, I can't explain it, it was just, you know, unbelievable. I've had all my dreams to play for Man United, and to get the chance to go up there and, you know, do something up there was really exciting.
All the London clubs were trying to woo him, and when Alex Ferguson found out that David was a Manchester United fan, he invited him to come and meet the players when they had a game in London. He even allowed the star-struck youngster to sit on the team bench.
Tracking goes off, and Clayton Blackmore comes on.
I knew Alec used to bring kids in to introduce them, because that's the way he went about that, to get them at the Man United feeling and kind of blackmail them into signing for Man United and make them feel they have to sign for Man United. Being in the first team dressing room, spoke to Brian Robson and Norman Whiteside, things like that. And I remember David coming in, and he was very quiet, he was respectful to the players, and usually Alec would come and say, he's not bad, that lad, you know, he's brilliant. But then he did say one or two, he said, this lad is special.
When he was still only 14, David's dream came true when he was signed on schoolboy terms by Alex Ferguson for Manchester United. By now, the media spotlight was truly on him.
We're going to meet one 14-year-old boy who's just signed for Manchester United.
He was only 14, so couldn't play for Manchester United until he was 16. Even though he was not a professional yet, the cameras were following him everywhere, from his bedroom to his classroom. He was being heralded as the great new hope for English football.
The satellite companies started broadcasting, they came down to the school and done a little bit of them then. He always had media following him from then on.
At the age of 16, he was finally able to join his beloved Manchester United.
There's a picture of you there, signing with Alex Ferguson. What was it like when you signed that? How did you feel when you...
Well, it was brilliant, straight from when we left here. When we got there, it was just brilliant. Signing the paper and that. Just couldn't believe it was happening.
But he had to live in Manchester, 200 miles away from his school and family.
I probably will miss it a little bit, but I'll be doing what I want to do, so.
It was difficult, really, trying to get sort of used to him not being there, you know, because we used to watch all the games. We went out to my local football club for drinks, and, you know, we trained together, and, you know, it was a shame, really. It was just like cutting off your right arm.
Manchester United became his surrogate family. He was taken under the wing of Alex Ferguson and his backroom staff.
The manager is critical. Alex Ferguson, his role and the role of the coaches would have been pivotal to how, you know, how he adapted, how he moved on, and how comfortable he felt.
They deserve to be protected because they're in an age where they have a media hungry for something. And we have to make sure that they're first and foremost the footballers, and they enjoy the football, and they're not going to be distracted or put under pressure by a media that feels the need for it, you know.
David had now joined a promising batch of youth team players who were to make a huge impact on the game of football. They won the FA Youth Cup in 1992. 8 players from that side went on to achieve first-team status, including Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes and Gary Neville.
For me, I've always wanted to play for the first team at Man United. So, you know, that's all I ever wanted to do. I never thought of playing for anyone else or doing anything else.
And young David Beckham coming on.
When he eventually got his chance, he made his first-team debut as a substitute for United in 1992, aged just 17.
Alex Ferguson knew that David was a great prospect.
It wasn't long before Beckham was impressing by scoring some spectacular goals.
Beckham! Take a bow, David Beckham.
I think the starting point, as far as I can remember, was when he scored the goal from the halfway line. I mean, that was really when people thought, God, this guy's a bit special. He's got the strength of personality and he's brave enough to try something like that. And he's very young at that point.
Beckham was in the team that won a Premier League and FA Cup double in 1996. Beckham's meteoric rise was complete when at the age of 21 he became one of England's youngest internationals. Beckham was living the dream of every young boy and was about to meet someone who would change his life forever. In 1997, David met Victoria Adams, also known as Posh Spice from the Spice Girls. The media couldn't get enough of David and Victoria. Their every move was scrutinised, and David began to feel uncomfortable with the media hysteria.
Everywhere you go, you get noticed, you know. If people don't know me, they know Victoria. If people don't know Victoria, they know me. So it's difficult everywhere we go. You know, we don't get a moment's peace anywhere, apart from in our own home. And then there's photographers outside, which is really difficult at times. But, you know, we get each other through that.
He was no longer just a footballer. He'd become a media icon.
And when their fame was just beginning to peak, both of them, and they got together as a couple. This was really around about the time after the death of Princess Diana. And as far as newspapers and magazines are concerned, I mean, oh my God, Diana's died, we've lost our cover girl, who are we going to focus on now? And they were in the right place at the right time.
When David and Victoria decided to get engaged, it was headline news. And when their baby was born, the scenes outside the hospital were like those that welcomed the birth of a royal prince.
Brooklyn Joseph.
Brooklyn Joseph.
Yeah.
And how's Victoria?
She's very well. She's set up. She's drinking champagne. She's very well.
It was really when he got engaged and later married to Victoria that they became the dream couple, and I think David plus Victoria became the golden couple of show business and perhaps the most written about showbiz couple of all times.
Now David was a father. The media were hungry for information about his son, Brooklyn.
People are going to such extremes now to, you know, get a piece of, you know, what we're doing, you know, in our home, which is ridiculous. It is disgraceful, but them sort of things are going on nowadays, so, you know.
Beckham caused a sensation when he was photographed wearing what looked like a skirt. He was ridiculed for wearing women's clothes, but he seemed to be surprised by all the fuss.
It's quite hard to understand because, you know, I was on the front page for wearing something that was obviously well documented, but and then I turned to page 5 or 6 and there was the train crash, which amazes me, to be honest.
David had emerged from the man's world of football and become a style icon.
Football is a culture that's seething with testosterone. It's full of macho men, and this is what makes Beckham so extraordinary, because this is a guy who so obviously is in touch with his feminine side, paints his nails, has his chest waxed, so we believe, carefully coiffured hairdos, wears sarongs, and, you know, a truly extraordinary character. And I think he'd emerged a few years before he actually did. He would have been murdered in the locker room.
Beckham was now a trendsetter and became the face of Brylcreem. When he decided to cut off his trademark floppy hair, he knocked international crises off the front page.
Never have I seen someone's haircut generate so many media column inches, and for Brylcreem this was fantastic. They were rubbing their hands in glee because every time David went out and got his hair cut, which was fairly frequently, Brylcreem would be associated and discussed in the national press. They couldn't have brought advertising to that value even if they'd wanted to.
Beckham has also become a gay icon, and he sparked a debate about homophobia in football.
David's out there and he's willing to admit he's got gay fans, he's happy to have the gay fan, and he's taken on the prejudice of football. So he's a hero for that alone.
He has now become the typical celebrity. He has become somebody that no matter what he does, no matter where he goes, what he wears, he will be watched and he'll be listened and he'll be talked about.
Some people questioned whether Beckham could sustain his celebrity lifestyle and compete at the highest level. In 1998, the stage was set for David Beckham to prove he was a world-class player. But England coach Glenn Hoddle shocked the football world by dropping him from the opening game.
He's not yet to get on the score sheet, which has been a bit disappointing. And I just felt his focus hasn't been there over just the games leading into the World Cup.
But to make matters worse, having been dropped from the first game, Beckham was left to face the media single-handedly. They wanted to know how Beckham felt about being dropped.
You know, you can never really get over something like that because, you know, I'm the sort of person that always wants to play in every game. And if I'm not, then, you know, no one can really do anything about it.
I was quite shocked, really. He was a young lad. I don't think that he was ready for that. And to put him up there and explain his situation, I thought was a bit unfair, really. And I don't think that that was the best man management.
Beckham only played part of the next game, coming on as a substitute against Romania. But it was during the following match against Colombia when Beckham finally got a chance to show the world what he was capable of.
He was dropped from against Tunisia. He played against Colombia. He has something to prove, and you have to be strong.
His chance came when England won a free kick, and Beckham scored from 25 yards out.
But to come together in a World Cup, after getting back in the side, was like a fairy tale, and you could see the relief on his face. More than anything.
Beckham was a hero after the goal. The country had the England lineup they wanted and thought he could take them to the World Cup final. The next test came when England played a match against their old enemies, Argentina. The last time they played each other in the World Cup, the nation felt cheated after Maradona scored a goal with his hand that sent England crashing out of the competition. The nation endured a tense game, and England were doing well until Beckham kicked out in retaliation after being fouled. Beckham was sent off and blamed when England went on to lose the match.
Simeone has conned the referee there. I mean, how that can make someone go, ah, fall over and nearly dead, you know, it's just, it was beyond me.
England lost to Argentina on penalties. The next day, the team returned home and Beckham was blamed for their exit.
I don't think that there's ever been a situation where the media have been so vociferous, you know. I mean, it was it was a frenzy.
David Beckham became a national hate figure. He was vilified by the national press, I remember. The Daily Mirror printed a dartboard with his face on it. It was a really, really tough time for him.
Beckham felt the full brunt of the press. He flew off to America to join his fiancée to escape the media and public, who'd now turned against him. There was also a tide of hate from football fans up and down the country. Both Beckham and his family now had to have police protection. West Ham fans warned of recrimination for Beckham's first away match of the new season. An effigy of David was strung up outside a South London pub. The pressure looked like it would damage Beckham's football career, but David had other ideas.
After he got sent off in the World Cup, I think he went up a level. I think he faced the problem head on. I think he thought, well, yeah, a bit stupid, don't deserve the stick I'm getting though. And then, with the help of his closest friends and his manager, he set out to prove to the world that he was a top player.
After the World Cup, David Beckham started to prove his doubters wrong. He became Manchester United's most consistent performer. He played a central part in their historic treble, helping his team win the European Champions League, the FA Cup, and the English Premier League title. Beckham continued to be a major hate figure amongst opposing football fans, which resulted in some very personal attacks.
Aggravation and partisan feelings are all part of the drama of football. We all accept that those are there, and it wouldn't be the game it was. It wouldn't be the drama that it is if you didn't have that side. But nothing you do means that you deserve to have your child threatened or people queuing up to say they hope your baby son dies. Nobody deserves that, you know. And actually, I think the majority of people find that kind of thing absolutely, really, really sickening.
Despite running a gauntlet of grounds up and down the country, Beckham appeared to have come through the experience unscathed, possibly even strengthened from the incident at the World Cup.
He coped like he has to do it. Say nothing, play very well, and win. He had played very well. I think it was his best season. He was the best player in the world, I think, at this time.
I think, you know, every sort of person in the public eye gets their certain amount of publicity and harassment, really. But, you know, I think I can, you know, control it. Can I have a sip of that? Thanks. Cheers, mate.
Excuse me, can I have your shirt, please? Thanks, mate.
Beckham became recognised as a world-class player and emerged as the most important member of the England team.
The importance of France '98 can't be underestimated in the building of Beckham's brand, because what happened there was, being cast in the role of villain, he then spent the following year transforming perceptions about him as a hero.
His rehabilitation continued when in November 2000 he became England captain.
There was only one captain, and that was David, and I felt that, you know, again, for the way that he's grown up and the way that he's played for the last couple of years, he deserves to be captain of England.
I've worked hard at my game and worked hard to sort of win people back, and I felt I've done that on the pitch with playing football, and now, you know, being given the chance as England captain, you know, it's a great honour.
Even though David was captain of his country, Beckham still remained unpopular with fans of many other clubs. In 2001, there was a chance to change all that. England needed to draw with Greece to qualify for the World Cup finals, and many thought David Beckham had something to prove.
I just remember it was one of the first games that I saw David Beckham take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, I'm in control of this game. I'm going to do what it takes to get us through to the championship.
Beckham led by example by giving a performance of his life, but in injury time England were losing 2-1 and about to lose out on going to the World Cup.
Foul on Sheringham, free kick.
Yeah, I think that time round you looked at it and you thought, nah, this is Beckham's. I remember Teddy stepping up and going, look, you've had umpteen chances, mate, you've missed them all, let me step and take the pressure off you. And he just, you know, pushed Teddy away, said, no, this is mine. At the time he thought, yeah, this is destined for the top corner.
Beckham could raise the roof here with a goal.
And that's exactly what David Beckham did. And you couldn't have written the script any better than him to step up, the time that was left for him to bend that free kick in the top corner and run away and celebrate. That was David Beckham's game, and it was the re-emergence of David Beckham after '98.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
All was forgiven. Shortly after the Greece match, Beckham was named the BBC Sports Personality of the Year.
World Cup '98 was certainly a low point for David in his footballing career, but he did go on to prove that he has what it takes to come back against adversity, and he even made that sending off in the World Cup part of the subject of a recent commercial he did for Adidas, and I definitely think that he did go on to be a bigger and a better person, and the fact that he showed humility and was able to take something from it and learn from it made him a better person, and with hindsight made Brown Beckham even stronger than it was at that point.
You will go through tough times. It's about coming through that.
David had proven himself on the pitch. His appeal was now international, and Brown Beckham continued to grow. Beckham is very much a man of the new media age, and unlike great England players of the past, he's become a very global celebrity. He's endorsed some of the most famous products in the world.
I think that everything that David Beckham endorses is almost sprinkled with this magic dust, that it just flies out of the shop. So whether that's, you know, the Adidas kit he wears, Gillette, police sunglasses, he is a marketing man's dream, and the reason why he can command such huge figures to endorse brands is because these brands get a return on investment.
There are three things that generally people associate with him as attributes, values, and they appeal across the board. And that is his dedication, which he's shown again by coming back to the sport. His design, his sense of fashion, which makes him extremely popular to lots of different types of what marketers call demographics. But also this somewhat paradoxical, down-to-earth quality about him. And if you spoke to anybody who's worked with him, that's what comes across. He goes down brilliantly in Asia because he's not a flash Harry. He's very, very humble when he talks.
Beckham's mass appeal spread to the Far East, where he's mobbed by fans.
I love Manchester. Beckham is a great player.
David Beckham's always had a massive appeal in the Far East, and I think part of that is as a result of his poster boy looks, and I think the Japanese in particular and Malaysians really look up to him and see him almost as an idol that they can worship.
He's even been given the unlikely honour of having a statue dedicated to him in a Buddhist temple in Thailand.
นิช่างที่ปั้นรูปต่างๆเนี่ยเราไปกั้นความรู้สึกของเขาไม่ได้ว่าความรู้สึกในการฝังใจความรู้สึกในการบูชาฮีโร่เนี่ย
Beckham's fame has become so widespread, he's even inspired movies. While there was no doubting Beckham's mass appeal around the world, there was one very important person who was beginning to get fed up with his jet-set celeb lifestyle. Alex Ferguson had never taken kindly to the outside influences in Beckham's life. The tension between Fergie and Beckham increased and was about to come to a head. Ferguson blamed Beckham for an FA Cup defeat by Arsenal. The tension exploded after a dressing room bust-up between the two that stunned the nation.
Sir Alex Ferguson didn't try to deny it. He did kick a football boot that hit David Beckham in the head.
The man who broke the story was journalist Neil Custis.
Once I'd heard about what had happened in that dressing room, you know this is massive. I mean, this is huge. This is the biggest manager in the country, in Europe, and the most famous player in the world. And one of them's kicked a boot at the other.
The manager's probably come in, lost his temper, and lashed out at the first thing that's got in his way, which happens to be a football boot.
Later, we found out that there had actually been a confrontation between the two in which they had to be pulled apart. It's gone off, and he knows it's gone off, and the repercussions are going to be huge.
But Ferguson refused to apologise.
It was a graze, and he's dealt with the doctor, there's no problem, and we move on. And that's all there is to be said for it.
Beckham struck back with a photo opportunity of his own.
On the Monday, David Beckham drives out of his new residence in Alderley Edge and stops, and the photographers take pictures of him. The sunshade he normally has down is up. Clear shots of him. He decides to wear a hairband, scraping his hair back off his forehead to clearly show this cut on his head.
Ferguson is famous for using intimidatory tactics to show his players who's boss.
You don't want to cross him, because if you cross him, you're out of Man U, and you don't want to leave Man U.
Beckham's courting of the media was a step too far for Ferguson. There was endless debate whether Beckham could repair the relationship with his mentor, or whether he'd be sold to one of the various big clubs who were now trying to buy him.
Good evening. After weeks of fevered speculation and false trails, it's official tonight, and David Beckham, the England football captain, is going to Real Madrid.
The £25 million transfer to Madrid was reported as the dream move.
Joining Real Madrid is a dream come true. Gracias. A la Madrid.
Thousands flocked as Beckham was unveiled to the Real Madrid fans.
As Beckham ran over to them, one young fan could be seen scrambling under the security fences and heading straight for his new hero. You'd have thought they were long-lost friends. Beckham shooed away the security guards and kept the boy with him, even getting him his spare shirt. It was a PR man's dream.
Beckham would now be playing in a team of all-stars, which included the best players in the world like Zidane and Ronaldo.
Running out for Real Madrid with these sort of players and this team and in front of the 90,000 fans is going to be an amazing experience.
They say that while David Beckham was there, Real Madrid was paying Ronaldo's and Zidane's salary with the merchandising that David Beckham was bringing into the clubs.
Real Madrid was desperate to break into the North American market and was desperate to increase its market share in Asia. And to that extent, getting Beckham was really the completion of this plan in marketing terms.
A pre-season tour of Japan and China saw Madrid and Beckham win thousands of new supporters.
Certainly the big challenge for Beckham when he came to Madrid was that it wasn't just going to be about selling shirts. It wasn't simply going to be a commercial enterprise. He was going to have to prove himself as a player in this club with an extraordinary weight of history behind it.
Despite Beckham playing well, Real Madrid failed to win any trophies. There was a lack of success on the pitch and speculation of an unhappy marriage off of it. Victoria was reluctant to make the move to Spain and spent most of her time in London and New York focusing on her music career. In 2003, Beckham got an OBE, an honour given by the Queen for exceptional services to his country. He returned back to England to collect his award, and he had to fend off questions about marriage problems.
There are reports in the papers of the weekend you're going to renew your wedding vows.
Supposedly, that's the first I've heard about it. We don't need to do that.
With David's wife absent, Rebecca Luce was hired as a PA to help Beckham adjust to the move from England. While Victoria was away, David and Rebecca also socialised together. After receiving video footage of David and Rebecca together at a nightclub, one of Britain's biggest tabloids sensed there was a story.
News of the World published a front-page picture of her with David in a nightclub in September, which was 6 months before the story of the affair became public.
Rebecca contacted me. She decided she wanted to tell the whole story, and she did with the News of the World, which I negotiated. From a tabloid point of view, it's been the biggest scandal of the decade. It's been the biggest story of the decade.
I found myself going to my boyfriend, "You wouldn't do that, would you? I mean, if it can happen to the Beckhams, it could happen to anyone."
A few days after the news of the affair broke, the Beckhams went on a family skiing holiday. The media flocked to see if the couple could patch things up. Many thought the alleged affair would damage the Beckhams' image and their many endorsements.
In this strange way, it just enhanced his masculinity, made him seem sensitive, made him seem actually just like any other human being, and at the same time, he tried to he kept his family together through this whole thing, and that again earned him points. So these allegations, in a curious way, actually helped to enhance his image.
David's marriage to Victoria and his endorsements survived. But it was another disappointing season with Real Madrid, who failed to win anything in David's second season. Despite the lack of footballing success, David managed to finish on a high, helping the British team win the 2012 Olympic bid.
What does this mean for you, for London?
For me, for the East End of London, for the whole of London, for the whole of England, you know, I think it's a proud moment. It's a very proud moment.
While Beckham wasn't enjoying an easy time in Madrid, the lead up to the 2006 World Cup was creating incredible excitement in the UK. England had been tipped as one of the tournament's favourites. There were huge expectations. It was England's best team for 40 years, and the nation thought Beckham would lead them to win the World Cup. But the England team did not live up to their expectations. But David saved the team from a poor performance by scoring a wonder free kick against Ecuador to secure England's place in the quarter-finals against Portugal. But during the game against Portugal, Beckham's fitness was questioned, and he suffered from dehydration sickness. David was substituted after getting an ankle injury. He sat tearfully on the sidelines as England were beaten by Portugal in a penalty shootout. The next day, Beckham called a press conference to make an emotional announcement.
If you bear with me, because I wrote this late last night, and on November 15th, 2000, Peter Taylor gave me the greatest honour of my career in making me captain of England and fulfilling my childhood dream. Now, almost 6 years later, having been captain for 58 of my 95 caps, I feel the time is right to pass on the armband as we enter in a new era under Steve McClaren. This decision has been the most difficult of my career to date. But after discussing it with my family and the closest to me, I feel the time is right. Finally, I have lived the dream. I am extremely proud to have worn the armband and been captain of England, and for that I will always be grateful. Thank you very much.
Perhaps, you know, he's traded on some performances for England and Manchester United and Real Madrid just that bit too long. People perhaps got fed up with the celebrity status, the cult of celebrity which surrounded him and which sort of transferred into the England dressing room. And a lot of people will say, and you know, there is a justified argument to say that it was a hindrance to England, in as much as that Sven-Göran Eriksson was too weak to stand up to the cult of celebrity in the dressing room, embodied by David Beckham, which led to a lack of, you know, kind of pattern and our failure in the last World Cup. So you can see David Beckham as a symptom for England's downfall, but to heap it all on his shoulders is just going too far.
The England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson stepped down after the tournament. He'd been criticised for pandering to David. This was the end of their special relationship and signalled the demise of Beckham's England career. Steve McLaren took over as the new England manager. When he announced the new team, everybody wondered whether it would include Beckham.
I spoke with David last Monday, notified him of my decision and said that I was planning for the future, looking to change things, looking to go in a different direction, and David wasn't included.
Back in Spain, Real Madrid also changed their manager for the final year of his contract. The new coach Capello hadn't been impressed by the star players, and Beckham was one of the first casualties.
I think he was using Beckham almost cynically as a vehicle to transmit a message to all the other players, because by putting Beckham on the bench and saying, look, I'm prepared to humiliate David Beckham.
After weeks of speculation, Real Madrid said they wouldn't be renewing David's contract. Then, in a shock announcement, the next day it was revealed that David would join Los Angeles Galaxy in a 5-year record-breaking deal.
To be able to bring a player like David Beckham, his stature, his experience, automatically makes the Los Angeles Galaxy a better soccer team, but it does so much more on and off the field for the sport in the United States.
The deal is allegedly the largest contract of its kind in the world, where David could earn a staggering $1 million a week. David said that Tom Cruise had a big influence on his decision to go to America. Many thought that Beckham's move to LA was for the money and the celebrity opportunities, and signalled the winding down of his football career. Now Beckham announced he would leave for America at the end of the season. The Real coach Capello said that David had played his last game for Madrid.
He could have opted to just concentrate in that new challenge and just not play any more part in Real Madrid, but that's never been David Beckham.
After a month, David fought his way back into the team, making Capello backtrack on his statement. Beckham played against Real Sociedad, he scored, and Real Madrid won 2-1. The revival for David and Real continued. They surged their way to the top of the league level with their arch-rivals Barcelona.
He used just his normal football terms to try to get back into that team, and the football made the decision. He deserved to play, and he's been a massive part on Real Madrid's revival.
Beckham was a key reason for Madrid's success, and once again he'd proven his doubters wrong. In May, Beckham confirmed his popularity in the UK by being named Britain's greatest ambassador. He also received an award for outstanding contribution to sport. He jetted into London from Madrid to collect the award, and he had a message for the nation.
Not being in the team is very, very difficult, but I've always said, and I will always say, while I'm still playing, I'm always available for the country.
David had been playing some of the best football of his life. The England manager who dropped him could ignore him no longer and recalled David to the England team. David seemed to be a popular choice with the public. They came out in force to see him play in the first match at the newly built Wembley Stadium in a high-profile game against Brazil.
Well, I think it's good that he's back. I feel it's well deserved. He's been playing well for Madrid, and hopefully he can continue his good form tonight.
David Beckham's awesome. Best English player ever. Absolute legend.
He gives the drive and he's got the spirit for England that we need.
David played well against Brazil and was the provider for England's goal.
67 minutes gone. Here's John Terry! And that surely cements David Beckham's place against Estonia.
I think the David Beckham story and obviously what he's achieving, being dropped, coming back, being popular again, is fantastic. Fantastic theatre, fantastic media.
A week later, England looked set to crash out of the European Championships. But Beckham set up 2 goals in a must-win game against Estonia. David had answered his critics, and the win put England's European Championship plans back on track. David went back to Madrid, where the title was to be decided in the last game of the season. Real had to win, or the title would go to their arch-rivals Barcelona. Disaster struck when Real went a goal down. David later hit the bar, but it looked like the title was slipping away. Real eventually came back to win the game. They clinched the elusive title, and Beckham got the precious leaving present he desperately craved.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that after winning the league, there's nobody who wants David Beckham to leave. And that's ideal when everything is set up. If you leave with huge memories from your side, but everyone else wants you to stay, it will always, I'm sure you'll always be a respected figure and someone that will bring a smile to people's face. So in that respect, you live in a football club of the status of Real Madrid, winning the league after 3 years and failing into it. I think he couldn't even read it in a Hollywood script.
Draped in the St. George's flag, he got a hero's send-off by the thousands of adoring fans as he brought down the curtain on his Real Madrid career.
There were people, let us not forget, less than a year ago, writing him off, saying he's going to America, that's the end of a career, this is the final chapter. And Beckham's telling us that no, it's not the final chapter, it's an enduring ballad between him and Posh, and it's an enduring good story of a fairly brilliant football player.
After playing for 2 of the biggest and richest clubs in the world, Beckham faces a new challenge: to use his talent and fame to transform Los Angeles Galaxy and make soccer more popular in America.
My decision was to sign for the LA Galaxy. I'm very honoured that they've given me the chance to play and to hopefully take soccer in America, you know, to a different level.
Can Beckham make soccer big in the States where other football greats have failed?
David Beckham going to America will be bigger than Pelé going to America. When Pelé went, I was there. When Pelé went, it changed the whole face of soccer in America. Everybody would want to come to Cosmos games, and wherever they played, there'd be big crowds. I think David Beckham will be as big as that on the pitch and bigger off the pitch.
I think people are interested in David Beckham more as a celebrity than a soccer player because soccer's not that big a deal in the United States. It's not nearly as big a sport as baseball or basketball.
Although David has moved to Hollywood, some of the soccer there is a far cry from the glamour of Tinseltown. The American League is very different from the higher standards that David is used to.
First thing that David Beckham will notice won't be the home games at the Galaxy and the crowds and the amount of people that will be around, because that'll be normal. But when he goes away from home and some of the pitches and some of the lack of understanding of the game, and some pitches have got American gridiron football lines on them as well as soccer lines. So I think when he sees that, I think that'll be a bit of an eye-opener.
The lower standard of play may affect his game.
You know, Beckham, playing for Real Madrid, Beckham knows that if he puts a relatively decent ball in, you know, at the other end he's got Van Nistelrooy, just got to put it near him and Van Nistelrooy will get to the ball. He knows that if he passes the ball inside to play a 1-2, he's going to get the ball back because he's got people who are good who can pass the ball accurately to him. If he's surrounded by players who are not as good technically, everything changes.
Beckham's basic salary is reported to be in the region of $10 million a year, 5 times more than the collective salaries of the LA Galaxy team and more than every player in US Major League Soccer combined.
Until the players get to know David, I think there's going to be, some of them will have a bit of resentment towards him. But I have spoken to people who've played with Beckham, you know, week in, week out, and they say that he really is a really, really great guy. And it's really very difficult to dislike him. And I think that is an edge for Beckham, the fact that strip away all the hype and whatever, he's not a diva, he's a guy who works his rear end off in training, and I think people will respect that.
David has a massive challenge in using his appeal to make soccer more popular in the States, as the Beckhams try to join the Hollywood elite.
I think there's a good chance that they'll make it. I think that their friendship with Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise and Jennifer Lopez is certainly helping. I would say already in the States, they're certainly B-list celebrities. I mean, they have a relatively high profile over here. They're not superstars, but they do have a high profile. I know that the United States is kind of the last big market for them where they're not huge superstars. And David Beckham has actually said that he hopes that the move to the U.S. will help raise his profile here and help him become a more recognizable figure in the U.S. And I know that Victoria will do everything she can to try to support that.
I definitely think that David Beckham is going to be helping to promote soccer here. I mean, they're paying this guy a ton of money, and he's good looking, and he's a great soccer player. So if he can't bring soccer to America, then I think then they should just give up.
I have no doubt if you look at his success in this country and how he rose from being unknown to being an overnight name that is on the tip of everyone's tongue, there's no reason why that appeal won't translate to America. And I think if he had any doubt, he wouldn't be doing it. He's not going there to fail.
We've never had such an enduring love affair, and I call it love affair with all its ups and downs, as we have had with David Beckham. And that's the heart of it. There's always a new chapter to engross us.
A Hollywood actor with such diversity in his film career, he's inspired a book and a board game. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is based on his successful career, having worked with almost everyone in Hollywood. He's here next on the Biography Channel.